So this video is to show you how to manipulate your lists. So I have L1 here, and this just has a bunch of dummy data in it. So it's got the numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. Now, what if I wanted L2 to contain all of the values that are just like 5 higher? So I could type in 10 plus 5, and then I could type in 20 plus 5, but that's ridiculous, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to clear that out. And if I want to clear the whole list at once, I go up to L2 and I press clear, enter, and it clears the entire list. Now that's important not to press delete, as delete will actually delete the list itself. Clear will just clear the list. And if you do delete a list accidentally, just go back and reset your calculator, second function memory 712. You'll lose what you had typed before in L1, but you won't have that issue of having L1 and then all of a sudden L3 because L2 is gone. So suppose I wanted to add 5 to every single one of these. Well, I go up actually to the header, and that's why the tip says watch your cursor. Rather than typing down here, because notice that brings up L2 element 1, I'm going to go up top here where it'll bring up L2. Now in L2, I'm going to type second function L1, so to bring up L1, and I'm going to add 5 to each. So just L1 plus 5, and it adds 5 to every element in L2. Cool. Now, what if I didn't want to add 5? What if I wanted to multiply by 5? Well, in L3, I can go enter to bring up my cursor, and then I'm going to go L1, second function L1, and maybe I'll multiply by 1.5, so times 1.5. And that brings up the entire thing. Cool. Now, 10 times 1.5 and 10 plus 5 are the same thing. What if I wanted to subtract these lists? So I can go over to L4, enter, and I can choose second function L3. I'm going to subtract the larger one, minus second function L2. So that way it'll keep all my answers positive, except for the first, which will be 0. So that simply takes L3 minus L2. Huh. Interesting. Still linear. Neat. I guess that's because all we've done is multiplied by values and added values. We could square it. We could do any operation that we like. So this is manipulating lists, and furthermore, we can add up an entire list as well. I'm going to show that because that's useful for cumulative frequency diagrams. So I'm going to go into L5, I'm going to hit enter to bring it up. Now I'm going to add up all of the elements from L1. So the first one is going to be 10, the second one's going to be 10 plus 20, or 30, the third one's going to be 60, and so on and so forth. So I'll do that by going second function, stat, which will bring up my list features. Now, I don't want to deal with list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. I want to do operations. And so then I'm going to choose cumulative sum, 6. Now I'm going to do the cumulative sum of list 1. And when I enter in here, it'll add up all of the values. So as we saw before, 10 is 10, adding 20 brings 30, adding 30 brings 60, adding 40 brings 100, and so on and so forth. So the cumulative sum is kind of nice when you're trying to do cumulative frequency tables. So that's manipulating lists using your TI-84.